Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'll call the board meeting to order for October 3rd. We have an agenda tonight, and I understand we have one addition to the agenda, which is going to be to consider a contract for a sentence-to-serve labor agreement. Anything else to add or change on the agenda?
Nope.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda with that addition?
So moved.
I'll second that. Those in favor of approving it, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Is there a motion to approve payment of bills?
So moved.
I'll second it. Those in favor of paying the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have the minutes of September 19th, the board meeting for September 19th. Any corrections?
I saw none. I'll move to approve.
I'll second. Those in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And then we also have minutes for the special town board meeting held on September 23rd.
I saw no errors. I'll move to approve.
All right, I'll second that. Those in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Ed, you're going to be Steve tonight, so would you please read the agenda, the consent agenda? I guess we have about 10 items on here.
First item on the consent agenda is the resolution certifying delinquent water charges to the county auditor. Let's approve this resolution. The second item, item B, is resolution certifying delinquent sewer charges to the county auditor. Approve that resolution. Item C is a resolution certifying delinquent stormwater charges to the current auditor, or the county auditor. Approve resolution. Item 5D is resolution certifying delinquent refuge charges to the county auditor. Approve that resolution. 5E is the employee recognition lunch. Need to call a special town board meeting for Thursday, November 3rd, 2016, beginning at 11:30 p.m. at the Township Administrative Offices to attend the annual employee recognition luncheon. Item 5F is a conditional use permit request. This is for 4195 Lakewood Avenue. Call a public hearing for Monday, October 17th, 2016 at 7:15 p.m. Item 5G is a zoning ordinance amendment. This is to call a public hearing for Monday, October 17th, 2016 at 7:20 p.m. to amend section 7-6.2 and repeal section 9.2F of ordinance number 35. Item 5H is a variance request at 2641 South Shore Boulevard. That's to call a public hearing for Monday, October 17th, 2016 at 7:25. Item 5I is administrative driveway variance in accordance with town ordinance number 35, section 9-63E. 3 is based on staff review and recommendations. Approve and ratify the town clerk's issuance of an administrative driveway variance. It's at 5464 East Bald Eagle Boulevard. And the last item, item number 10, is the annual town meeting date, which will be March 14th, 2017. This is to verify the March 14th, 2017 as the date of the 2017 annual town meeting. With that, I'll move to approve those 10 consent agenda items.
I'll second that motion. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. Item 6, old business. We have one item, and that's regarding the town hall site and building improvements.
All right.
Bill, that's yours?
Yep, this is a follow-up from our consultant, Oaks and Associates, Greg Johnson. Followed up on the town board's award of bid to Pember of the base bid without the alternates, but also deleting the rock mulch, steel edging, and turf seating that were part of the bid. And so included in your packet is a contract, now that the bid has been awarded under that condition, as a contract prepared by Laux and Associates in the amount of $90,555.40.
And this is, as was discussed at the special meeting on the 23rd.
Yep.
So the action requested is to approve that contract,
Correct.
as discussed. Okay. Ed, any questions or comments?
No, we've been pretty thorough on this one, I believe.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the contract with Laux,
Actually, Pember is the contract.
oh, I'm sorry, Pembers Landscaping for the amount of $90,555.40. This is for the site work around the town hall.
Just for the record, it's Pember Companies, Inc.
Okay, got it. So noted, Joan.
All right, I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? If not, those in favor of approving that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. No further discussion on,
Just for information, we have the pre-construction meeting tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 with Greg Johnson, Mike Johnson, Dale, and myself,
great.
and Pember.
Okay. And when, Bill, when do you think we're gonna see work starting up there?
We expect within the next week because they have a completion date of November 4th. We'll get the schedule tomorrow.
Great. Okay. Item 7, new business. The first item is 7A, and that is, let's see, that's a public hearing. We have 3 minutes to go. Let's move forward to item 7B. We have the third quarter construction report. And that information is in the supplement.
All right, we have the third quarter 2016 construction activity reports for the month of September here. We did not issue any new home permits. A total of 7 new home permits with a value of $2.1 million for total for the year to date. Compared to last year at this time, we had 5 new dwelling permits issued, $1.1 million in evaluation. Just general residential construction, total permits for the year up to this point, 425, $4.6 million in evaluation. Compared to last year at this time, total of 664 permits, just over $6.9 million in evaluation. Commercial construction, total of 12 permits issued this year to date, $3.9 million in evaluation. Compared to last year at this time, there was 13 commercial permits, $342,000 in valuation. I have a couple of flip charts here over the last 3 quarters. Go through the percentage of building permits versus electrical permits, zoning permits. This is the last 10 years permits issued in totals by quarter. 2016 shows the different quarters, numbers of permits per each quarter there. That is all I had for the construction activity report.
Okay.
If there's any questions.
Ed, any questions, comments? I don't have any either, Mike. Very thorough job, so thank you. Now, Mike, are you gonna cover there's another item here to review the final water rebate statistics? Is that yours?
Yes, that is mine also. The town is wrapping up the water rebate program. Chart here with the number of fixtures that were associated with the rebate. 142 WaterSense toilets were installed. 26 Energy Star clothes washers were installed, and 6 irrigation meters were installed. They're broken up into first, second, third quarter there. This chart here, the estimated water savings prior to the start of the program, and again, estimated water savings using the actual fixtures that were installed. Here's the funding. $24,000 was the grant funding through the Met Council, and the township's contribution to that program was just over $8,000. We have used up all of our rebates, and just finishing up a few inspections to close it out.
Mike, do you know if they're gonna try to continue this or start it up again next year or not?
I haven't heard anything recently.
That, it has to be a Met Council decision.
Right.
I noticed that, we estimated that we'd save just under 3 million gallons per year of water with the maxing out on the number of rebates issued. Looks like we're going to save almost 3.5 million or 3.4 million gallons of water.
Yeah, that was an increased figure
Okay.
due to the types of fixtures that were installed.
Okay, good. Any other questions, Ed?
No.
Anything else, Mike?
That's all I had.
Thank you. Okay, let's go back to item 7A. It's now 7:13, so we have a public hearing scheduled to hear the annual presentation for the town's stormwater pollution control program. Is there a motion to waive the reading?
So moved.
This is waive the reading of the notice of the hearing. I'll second that. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
I'll second that. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Jim, it's all yours.
All right, Mr. Chair and member of the board. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency has a permit that is required of owners and operators of municipal stormwater systems, of which White Township is one. That permit was obtained by the township in 2004, and then 10 years later, through reauthorization in 2013, we were again approved on our plan that we submitted. So this has been a process that the township has been doing for many years. What we are here tonight is to kind of do a recap of last year and this year, and we'll also do a look going forward here of the activities the township does. Through the permit, through our annual submittal, all these activities are documented and turned in on an annual basis. Tonight is one of those requirements, is to hold this public hearing on an annual basis. So October 3rd, 2016 will go into the records. One of the great improvements the township has done here just in the last months and prior to that is our public education in the township website. We really have stepped that up, the information that's available, the ease of the use of the website. That has been a very good thing regarding our public education. Through there, we do also rely on the Rice Creek Watershed District and the Vadnais Lakes Area Water Management Organization for a lot of our educational material. The Utility Commission reviews the information that we get through staff and residents, and they are the advisor to the town board. Our map is now an electronic system of the storm system. That has really been improved. A lot of data now exists in electronic format for the township to use. We've also, as last few meetings and stuff, we've been working on our local water management plans, dealing with a lot of our ordinances, updating stuff, getting things to be current requirements and to tie within each other throughout our system. So it's become a much more useful, user-friendly documents the township has put together. As part of our requirements, we have Mike Johnson as the building official for monitoring sites. We also go out and on an annual basis, we inspect 20% of the storm sewer outfalls. So every 5 years, 100% of our system has been looked at. Street sweeping, that's another item that we are having with the town board meeting. We do that both in the spring and the fall. This year, on June 18th, the township held their cleanup day, and that is a way for residents to dispose of a lot of the stuff that is tough to get rid of, and a good way for the township to clean and collect that activity as opposed to people discarding it in ways that we'd rather not have done. And also, just on an annual basis, we're out looking at the storm sewer systems. There's maintenance that goes on, there's cleaning that goes on a daily basis throughout the township. And as we said, a lot of the stuff is an annual reporting system, and we have to do this by the end of June. And on June 28th of this year, we submitted all of our documents to the MPCA, and our information was accepted. So we've got a good, clean slate for the township on 2015. As we go through,
Excuse me, Jim,
Sure.
before you go on to the next section.
Yep.
Just a quick basic question to clarify for the record regarding the inspection of the storm sewer outlets. We inspect 20% of those annually, but it's a different 20% every year. So we're not looking at the same outfalls year after year.
correct, yep, so every year a different 20%.
It should go without saying, but just to clarify it for the record, that's what we're doing.
Yep. So looking at our 2015 and 16, again, on an annual basis, Public Works is out there going through catch basins regarding our grouting, ring replacements, and minor rebuilding. If we get into significant deterioration of structures, we end up putting those together through a bidding process where contractors have the equipment to come out and actually do the larger projects. That is in the case of Taylor Avenue, where we had a large culvert that replaced just here in the last couple weeks, and we're actually doing the restoration activity right as we're talking this evening. We've previously replaced a small 18-inch culvert a couple years ago out on Taylor, and this one is the main ditch line, And so we have a large arch pipe out there. A lot of water is flowing through that pipe right now from that heavy rains that we've been receiving. And in the Fox Meadow, we did the rain garden, the parking lot improvements, and we've been making adjustments and improvements to that rain garden. Overall, all these things become items that, you know, we have to maintain. Public Works does a lot of this day-to-day stuff, but we also, when we get into rain gardens here, we got them in hidden ponds. You know, we have to do some contracting out to deal with the specialties of some of those activities. And when they get to be larger projects that just are beyond what the equipment and the time constraints are, well, as in Taylor Avenue, we had 2 large backhoes that were needed to install that pipe just because it was so heavy and so large. Looking forward, this information has been also presented to the Utility Commission. We have our list of projects that have come from residents, from other agencies informing us, from Public Works, from staff out going through the township. But you can see we have quite a list of projects going forward. You know, we're talking several $100,000 of activity that is still to be done as we go forward here. So these are items that we prioritize, we review on an annual basis, and are addressing both the previous, like the Taylor Avenue culverts are on this list, and those have been taken off as we do those projects. But you can see there is a lot out there that still needs to be done. And then overall, again, we have requirements that we have to do on an annual basis. We keep improving upon our pond inventory information that we have. New requirements will be coming down in the future here, expanding what information we do have to document regarding our ponds and those inspection activities. Again, we get into updating our websites, going through social media, pamphlets and mailings, trying to get the public educated on information that's available to them, information to help them improve their own areas that they can regarding stormwater. We get into the things you should and shouldn't be doing regarding, you know, grass clippings, and a lot of just general information is out there to help us improve our system. We also work through and educate the contractors as they're doing work within the township. Same thing with the employees. We have different informational activities that they go through, different trainings on stuff to help us improve and understand what it is that we need to do. And we've been going through ordinance revisions. Again, all of this is something that the township really has been improving upon. We've really gathered a lot more information. We have a lot more useful and accessible information as we've been going forward, and that will be needed because the requirements and the stuff that we do have to do on an annual basis keep increasing. So we definitely are on an upward swing for improving our system. So it's been very good for the township. And then I open it up
Okay.
both to the board and part of our public hearing tonight.
Well, thanks for covering all that, Jim. Just one generic comment here is that all these activities are funded primarily through the storm water utility fund, right?
Correct.
I know as you stated, the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency has developed this regulation and provides us the provides the entire state, all the communities in the state with guidelines.
Yes.
Do they include in any of their remarks potential other funding sources or support or assistance that might be available if we need it?
There's always items that pop up. We try to make all the submittals that we think we have a chance to do. One of the items that the township, as we go forward here, actually, I realize we don't have it on there, is our Berry Lane Pond. We did receive, through the Rice Creek Watershed District, funding of $25,000. That's one that we are just getting started on, will be a next year project. So there is some funding out there. We definitely are submitting, trying to come up with that funds. Everything is on a here's the amount available and how many submittals, how much money all the communities are trying to get. It's a limited amount.
Okay, so we've been working with Rice Creek and Vlamo for
Yep,
some
and
funding.
all the
grants.
opportunities that we see, we have pursued, yes.
Okay. Ed, do you have any questions?
Just a couple. Obviously you had to submit the annual report, June 28th. Is that the calendar year then, June 28th to June 28th? Or is this a normal calendar year and just they want the report in the middle of the year?
So, as far as the annual submittal, basically, it's January through December, and then you have 6 months to gather all your information, all the documents to be submitted by June, the end of June. So you're doing a look back with these annual submittals.
Okay, well, then what constitutes a completion of a pond? Say the one at Pine Hills. Is that now on 2016? Will that be 2017? How do you know when it's actually a working pond?
For most of these, it's when the township takes over the responsibility for whatever entity is working on it. So in that case, construction is wrapping up now, so it would become a 2016.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
At this point, we can open up for public comment if there's anyone here that has any questions or comments. If not, going once, twice, three times, then if that, we'll close the public comment portion of the hearing. And the only action item at this point is just to receive the report, is that?
Yep.
Okay.
If there's any comments you have, otherwise, yeah, it's just meant to provide the opportunity for any feedback
Yep.
on this, our program.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, you want a separate motion there? You want to wait just
Well,
till
we
the
can,
end with the?
we can just do that at
Okay.
the end. That's,
Yep.
that'll be receiving materials supplements, or end of the meeting motion, right?
Last year, if it's of any interest to you, Prudhomme moved to receive the annual presentation.
We can do that.
Success.
That's,
You can
okay, why don't we go ahead and receive it then?
So move, Joan.
Second, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay. Thanks, Bill. Item 7C under new business is a 2016 bow hunting request.
Okay, a request by a resident on Oakmead Lane, Mr. Lanigan, who's here tonight. He's looking for town board approval to obtain a bow hunting permit for deer in the town, like the town has approved in several occasions. This is a new location, however. Aerial photo up on the screen here is of Rice Lake, which is just, well, we're in this building right here, so this is the location. Mr. Lanigan lives over on Oakmead Lane here. And he's looking for town board approval to hunt on township-owned property in this location right here. This is the parcel involved here. It's right behind the State Tool Building, across from Wilbert. Mr. Lanigan has been in contact with the owner of State Tool to obtain access to the property back here. Several years ago, the town board approved bow hunting in areas where extreme numbers of deer cause damage to property and endanger public health and safety. That's the reason behind bow hunting being allowed in the township. Discharge of weapons is not permitted in Ramsey County. A bow and arrow is considered a weapon. So these requests do require approval of a permit from the town board. Again, the property is owned by White Bear Township. Mr. Lanigan has met all the application requirements. He has the bow hunter's education certificate and a recent proficiency that's right on as far as bow hunting. This is a bow hunt only, so no shotguns, rifles, or anything of that nature there. And of course, the program is encouraged to take does, although permitting is allowed to have one buck. But does are basically unlimited in this part of the state or the metro area right now because of the high population of deer in the area. And if you'll recall, when the deer were surveyed in this past, I believe it was January, the heaviest concentration of deer were just south of this site here in the city of Gem Lake. That's all I have.
Was there any reason to notify the county that we have this hunt here, or not?
Not necessarily. The county doesn't have any property in this area right here or hunters proposed. There's one hunter, or one approval of a property owner up in this part of the town, just on the northwest side of Rice Lake. And again, this would be on the southeast side.
And the request is just for one hunter, right?
Correct.
Okay.
When you say one hunt, for the
One
season or for certain days?
Excuse me,
Well,
Mr. Chair.
if you had a comment, could you come up and identify yourself and you give us your address?
I'm Pat Lanigan, and I've requested the permit to hunt. So to be clear on your question, are you asking for dates of a hunt, or are you, because I'm asking for a permit to hunt the season, which started September 19th, runs through December 31st.
Yeah, and I think that's the understanding that we had. So you're confirming that. It's for the season. My basic question was, it's just yourself that's gonna be hunting?
Just me, yes. Yes.
The other question I had, and one of the things Tom mentioned was justification for the hunting in the areas for safety. And we got two streets there at Otter Lake Road and White Bear Parkway, and there's a lot of deer that go across both of those streets.
There are,
and there's
right.
car accidents just waiting to happen there. So the flip side of that is, now, when you're out there hunting in that area, what direction are you shooting? How are you gonna control your shooting lanes?
Push the
to-
screen there and show you.
Yeah, would you please?
So this is actually a wetland area, and there's a ridge of tree line right across here. My intent is to put a stand and then shoot down towards
Okay, so you're shooting toward the
the wetland.
the
yes.
wetland, okay. So you're not shooting toward any, either of the streets or state tool or anything like that,
State
okay.
Tool has given me written permission to access his land, park in his lot, but not hunt on his land.
Okay. All right, perfect, thank you. Anything else, Don?
Just maybe a question on, if for some reason, I don't know if we've ever discussed this, but if for some reason you hit a deer and you have to track it onto private property, do you have the right to go?
DNR law allows you to track a big game animal
Okay.
on private property, yes.
Not so much probably here, but in some of our other spots, I could see very easily where the deer's gonna wander off the site.
Right, the permit you've approved already on the backside of that is actually right in, residential neighborhood in someone's backyard. Much more opportunity for that animal to end up in someone else's yard. At least this is not residential. I do recognize the concern about the streets, but the deer they're crossing those streets constantly already.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The chance of me, of a wounded animal crossing that's a possibility, but extremely less likely than the deer just, tonight, the field's filled with them when I came down here. So, and that, and I guess the reason is because we're so close to Gem Lake. Gem Lake makes it almost impossible to get a permit to hunt over there. And then if you do, it's a 3-day hunt period, so they're not really doing anything to control their herd.
Okay,
Are there any reservations? Please tell me.
no, I think we've reviewed this already, and you've answered questions, or we've had questions answered, so I think we're pretty well satisfied with what we're looking at here.
Okay.
And your application is complete, you have all the certifications and the qualifications
And I did just get a
documented?
sharpshooter's qualification too. So.
Okay. So, unless there's any other questions, the only action item left is to grant the request, or not.
I just have one. Why is it based on town engineer review? Jim, did you look this over?
It's obviously town planner. Okay,
I'd move based on staff review and recommendations that we approve the bow hunting request for Patrick Lanigan at 4072 Oakmead Lane. That's for the 2016 season through December 31st, 2016. This is within the area outlined on this map, and that would be on page 77 of our pamphlet. Also noting that Mr. Lanigan has the bow hunter certificate.
and Mr. Lanigan has described his direction of shooting and shooting lanes.
Yep.
With that, I'll second that. If there's no further questions, I'll call the question. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
So do I get a written document? It'll come,
You bet, we'll send you some.
email it or mail it to me? Thanks, guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll let you know how it turns out.
Yeah, I would be interested, either directly or
Based
through
on what's
Tom.
out there this evening, it looks very promising.
There's probably a few of them prancing across the street. I'll see them on my
They
way
don't
home.
live there, but they come through there constantly,
Yeah.
so we'll see.
Okay,
I appreciate it, thanks.
Thanks.
Go Vikings.
you're done in time, so you might miss the kickoff, but you're on the way.
Actually, we have a whole group from our neighborhood going down to cabin 61 to help them kick off their business and watch the game tonight. So,
Great,
Thanks, guys.
thanks. Item 7D on the agenda, Vlamo license agreement.
Okay,
This was something that was reviewed earlier this year. It was regarding the property in Columbia Park. Wilamo, the local water management organization, always looking for ways to cleanse potential stormwater, future drinking water in this case. They control ponding, stormwater treatment ponding in this area right here, and looking for ways to increase the cleanliness of the water. They submitted grant funding request to construct a subterranean upland stormwater treatment system whereby water would be pumped out of the Whitaker Pond up to the treatment area and would infiltrate into the ground, just another means of cleansing the water there. Be located in the southerly portion of Columbia Park. This shelter is no longer there, but this would be the area right here. And this was formerly a playground area right here. Playground has moved to the north a little bit. Again, it would be call it a subterranean system, below grade, series of perforated pipes and plants. Again, all to help cleanse water. At the time that this was presented to the park board and the town board, it was recommended for approval. But at that time, Vilamo was just looking for grant funding. They have received it. So now they are ready to move ahead. And this is a request to obtain a license agreement between the town board and Vilamo to move forward with this project.
Yeah, we looked at this at the beginning of the year, and so the basic plan and concept is still the same.
Yes.
And I'll ask the town attorney, you've reviewed the document. I understand there's one minor suggestion.
Yeah, I reviewed the license, it is a license agreement, not a easement. The agreement was well drafted. It has one of the things we look at is licensor responsibilities indemnification. That's an excellent clause. And it also has a dispute resolution clause, which if there's any type of disagreement, it would go to arbitration, and any expenses would be divided equally by the parties. The only thing is just a minor thing. I think you can approve subject to, we want to add one thing in there, that the indemnification, paragraph 2, licensors' responsibilities and indemnification, is that it survives any termination of the agreement.
Right.
Otherwise, it's fine. Just a thing that makes me, it's fine otherwise.
So contingent upon that
That's one
termination.
That's correct, sir. And I don't think there's a problem with it because it's, they have insurance with, or they're obtaining insurance. We're just making sure the classic is there's, something happens, the agreement has been terminated, and then a claim comes in post-termination, and we just want to make sure the indemnification language survives.
Okay.
That's, and I don't think they'll have a problem
Should
with
be
it.
easy to do. There was one minor typo. Did you get that, Tom, under, in section 4?
I did not.
Restoration, the first word should be licensee rather than license.
Okay.
So with those two changes, the document is acceptable. Ed, any questions?
Just a couple. I was kind of hoping Brian would be here tonight. I don't remember ever discussing the sound of the pump in that well. Tom, do you?
No, I don't.
I mean, is that, can you hear it from up above, or is it just that and dealing with the pump, maybe this is a typo, but it says the city of White Bear is in for $2,000 for maintaining the pump. I'm not sure why the city's involved.
Well,
On page
Whitaker
107?
Pond is basically the border between the city and the town, kind of right in this area right here is the border. So potentially the pump could be within the city. I think this is a fairly
Isn't it
generic
in the
view.
pump vault?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so right here. So I don't know why the city would be involved with that. Again, the city of White Bear is on this side of the line. This is the town over here.
You might want to clarify that, what's going on with that issue. Oh, that's all I had.
Okay. So the action requested then would be to approve the license agreement between Vlamo and White Bear Township, and contingent upon satisfying the two contract issues and the question, Ed, that you have about the funding for the pump.
Yeah, I think Tom could probably work that out with Brian, but it just seemed a little interesting that they were even mentioned there, so.
Well, let me ask you this, if the city of White Bear Lake and Vlamo have negotiated an agreement to do that, is there any reason why we would not?
Good.
Okay, okay.
All
All
right,
right.
I'll move, based on town attorney and staff review and recommendations, that we approve the license agreement between the town of White Bear and Vadnais Lake Area Water Management Organization. That's for the construction of a wetland treatment system at Columbia Park, and to authorize execution by the town board chair and town clerk, noting with the clarifications of the town attorney and Mr. Kermes.
Okay, and I'll second that motion. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Those in favor of approving the Vlamo license agreement with the contingencies mentioned, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? That motion carries. Item 7E on the agenda is a request from John and Linda Stasiluk. Did I say that right?
We'll go with Stacy Luke.
Okay. That's what I meant. Tom, this is yours?
It is, yes. John introduces himself as the guy with 3 first names. John, Stacy, and Luke. Okay. They're requesting approval of an exception to Section 529 of Ordinance 8, and that's the section that regulates accessory buildings and garages. Their property is the old Powers House, if you're familiar with the Bald Eagle neighborhood. This property right here was recently subdivided into a number of buildable lots. Existing home right here now, or a home was constructed right here. Existing 2 homes are right here, and the remainder of the property is vacant. But they're requesting to build a 1,040 square foot accessory structure in the back of the property in this area right here, meeting setback requirements. It's basically a rectangular sized building with 1 bump out. It's being designed to match the architecture of the home, but the reason why it's exceeding the 1,000 square foot, which is the maximum allowed for most accessory structures, is because he's planning to store a historic ice racing boat that is just long enough or would fit in a conventional sized garage. So he wants that little bump out there for the storage there. Now, Section 529 limits the size of garages and accessory structures to 1,000 square feet in area. It does provide for some exceptions for properties larger than 22,000 square feet. In this case, the property is exceeding, I believe, 40,000 square feet. And also if they abut a conservation wetland overlay district or county open space. In this case, portion of the property does abut Bald Eagle Lake, and the town has utilized that as to allow some of these oversized accessory structures. So the maximum size permitted without the exception is 1,000 square feet. They are requesting approval to construct one that's 1,040 square feet, so just slightly over the maximum size requirement. These are reviewed by the Variance Board as well as the Planning Commission. Both those bodies reviewed this recently and have recommended approval of the exception as proposed.
Tom, during the review, I know it was asked right near the end of the meeting, but I didn't write it down. What's the total height of that building? With these plans, you can't read it.
Yeah, I don't recall.
But it's not higher than the existing structure, is it?
No, it would not be. No, it's going to be designed to match the existing home. These are the existing, budding home. These are some pictures that Mr. Stacy looked for. So that's the look they're going for with this.
Okay. Tom, what's the access going to be to this?
Through the property.
Through the property?
Yeah, utilize the existing, well, there's a shared driveway easement in this area here, so it could go through this way right here.
That's a shared easement?
It is a shared easement, accesses these 2 lots here.
Okay, because I remember when that was being replatted, that we talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, okay,
No plans to pave a driveway back to the new structure.
okay. So basically, what they're looking for is a variance for 20 square feet.
40 square feet, yep. We process it as a variance, we call it an
Or 40 square
exception
feet, I'm sorry.
as outlined by ordinance number 8.
Okay.
All right, well, as liaison to the Planning Commission, I'll move based on Variance Board and Planning Commission staff review and recommendations to approve a 40 square foot exemption from ordinance number 8 to allow the oversized accessory structure at 5326 East Bald Eagle Boulevard.
Okay, I'll second that motion. There's no further discussion. Those in favor of approving that request, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? That motion passes. Item 7F on the agenda is a street sweeping contract.
Yes, so that's me.
Dale, that's yours?
Yeah, Chairman Kerns and Supervisor Verdon, here to talk to you, or propose to you to consider contracting out the fall sweeping as we had done with the spring sweeping this past spring of 2016, for a couple of reasons, and number one being that it can, if we contract it out, the sweeping generally takes 3 to 5 days. Now, I'm estimating the fall sweep would be about 5 days versus 3 days, because we'll have more leaves, or more debris. And the proposal, what I'm proposing is we hire a contractor, and I've got two quotes for street sweeping, one from Allied Blacktop, one from Pearson Brothers. For an hourly rate, the sweeping will benefit we talked a lot about stormwater tonight, so the benefit for this is going to be the reduction in phosphorus loading, which is created from leaf debris getting into our storm system. So in order to assist with that, and plus the silt that may be on the road too, I'm proposing that we sweep here late October and before we get snow, and then as late as we can, and coordinate it after the flushing. The rate from Pearson Brothers is $83 an hour for a sweeper with the operator, but with a minimum of 2 sweepers they'd be in town. We would have staff haul the sweepings to the directly to the Ramsey County Yard Waste site versus in the spring we had a lot more silt material. We ended up contracting out, hauling out that debris with the spring sweep contractor, so that the fall will save on the cost of disposal this fall with the fall sweep. So
Where is that site, Dale?
on Sherwood Avenue and off Ash Street, County Road J.
Okay.
So, and they, we spent roughly about $15,000 between the spring sweep and disposal, spring sweeping and disposal. That we had budgeted $35,000 in the town stormwater budget for both spring and fall sweeping. So we have a balance of about $20,000 left for the fall sweep.
Okay. And this is just for this fall?
Just this fall. Yep.
Okay.
Dale, is there obviously when we're bidding contracts per hourly basis, is there a way of monitoring them to know if their so-called times are correct?
Yeah, our operators, truck drivers are monitoring. They're there the entire time that they're there, and I communicate with staff to make sure that if there is a down sweeper, that's recognized, and then I deal with that with the contractor. We don't pay for time not sweeping.
Do they also go port to port on their times?
No, it's strictly, they start at our shop. It's when they get, they start at the shop, work their way out. So, yeah, they do start from a shop. They park at our shop
Okay.
and end at our shop, so.
Okay. So the action requested is to approve the Pearson Brothers proposal.
I'll move based on Public Works Director review and recommendations that we approve the Pearson Brothers proposal for $83 per hour, including the operator, per sweeper with a minimum of 2 sweepers with funding with the stormwater operation budget.
And I'll second that. There's no further questions. Those in favor of approving that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. We had an added agenda item, 8A, and that's regarding contract for sentence to serve labor. Oh, here it is. Whose is that?
I can take that one. Contract between the town and the state of Minnesota Corrections Department, basically for them to provide work crews as the town needs. Been many years since we worked with sentence to service. At that time, there was no cost to the town. Since then, they have put together a fee that is $475 per day. That includes a work crew leader and up to 10 workers. Utilized them in the past to do some park work, construct trails, remove trees, mostly in parks and areas, and have a couple projects we have in mind. The first one is constructing a trail that was part of the Hidden Ponds subdivision in the White Bear Beach area. Before we can do that, we have to put we have to sign a contract with the state of Minnesota. And that is outlined in the supplemental packet on pages 1 through 3.
And we've used this service before. When was the last time we did that? Do you recall, Tom?
You know, I'm not sure we've used this service. This is not the sentence to service traditionally that we've used. This is actual prisoners that are being housed in a correctional facility that come out and bail. But it's probably been 10 years since we utilized this kind of service.
And in the agreement, the payment section specifies a $475 per day
Yes.
worked. And it also identifies crew leaders who will supervise up to 10 crew members. You know, what if only 2 or 3 show up? Is that $475 per day charge prorated at all?
That's a good question.
That can get to be pretty expensive if only 1 or 2 people show up.
I think, again, sentence to service as we used to use was more of you're sentenced to community service.
Right.
So the crews you didn't know how many you were gonna have that day. This is, again, prison labor, so the guys are there.
They
They
can't
get
not
the
show
assignment
up.
that day.
Well, it's not so much just somebody showing up, it's how many. I'm looking at the unit cost here. If we have two people show up and we're spending $475 for 2 people, that's a little on the pricey side, I think. Comments from the town attorney?
Yes, Mr. Chair, a member of the board. This is a couple things, standard contract under this. They refer to the statutory side of 241.278. That's the authority to enter the contract. In response to your direct question, Mr. Redessel, this is the institution. I should note for the public that there is a supervisor and a crew leader. This program has been successful, and the liability, each party is responsible for its own liability. Ours is virtually, okay, here's the work, you do it, and the state will be the insurer. And with respect to the number of employees, I think, or sentences serve individuals or individuals from the institution, note that it's a 1-year contract with cancellation with 30-day notice. What I would suggest, Mr. Redessel has a pretty good working relationship with the state in negotiating this. If you are concerned about the number, we can verify the number. You know, you can approve it subject to verification of, let's say, not less than 8 or not. I don't know that 10 is a magic number that they're utilizing in their books. That I suspect one is the transportation on the vans that they use. And number 2, I was a little concerned about the overtime. In checking though, that overtime multiplies by the bus drivers and the supervisors, so we can control that element per project base. So in answer to your question, who will supervise up to 10 offender crew members? That's a number they put out there, so I suspect if you give Mr. Short or Mr. Redessel to talk to them and approve it subject to the number 10.
Okay. So, in general, though, as far as the terms and conditions of the agreement, you're satisfied?
Yeah, I looked at it, and it's, as you know, paragraph 3 has purchaser's duties, and it's under our control, material and works. The state's duties are also required personal safety equipment and clothing needed for specific work. I like that. That's their responsibility. And the other aspect is screen projects to ensure that proper staff is assigned. So they have probably a list that they have on their crew members. So the duties and responsibilities are pretty well stated along. They're subject to the Government Practices Act and audit and I think there was one question. The termination is satisfactory, and otherwise, it's good.
Okay.
And if you have that number 10, I think Mr. Redesso can get that answer. I think it's to their benefit too. I mean, to get the you're gonna assign them a project that needs probably 10 workers. You're not gonna say, well, send over one person, so.
Might depend on the project, how many they bring.
Tom, where exactly do these workers come from?
Lino Lakes was mentioned, the facility there.
Hey.
One other facility was mentioned, I forget.
And you said we haven't done this for about 10 years?
It's been at least that long since we've,
So-
again,
Is there a reason why we're looking at it now? Like, do we really need this, is what I'm getting at?
well, I think it's an opportunity to get relatively inexpensive labor. Again, when we were working with them, we'd have them, once every couple weeks, but there was no fee. Once they established a fee, we hadn't budgeted that fee, and we did not start budgeting that fee until just this year. We thought, we have a couple of good projects in mind for these type of workers, so that's why we budgeted to have it.
Is there a necessity or maybe a need for the Public Safety Commission to look at this first?
You're welcome to.
I mean,
agree.
obviously, I'm not, casting any shadows here, but we are bringing people into the community from a retention center, and I think there would be a prudent thing to do to have us review exactly who we're bringing in to do this work.
Right. I would go along with that.
I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable to have them review this, and, because this was just dropped on us tonight, and I don't feel real comfortable with this right now. And with the concerns Bob's brought up too, so I don't think this is something we should be sending along tonight.
Yeah. I would go along with that. Why don't we direct that we forward this to the Public Safety Commission for comment and review, and Tom, give you a chance also to discuss with the Commissioner of Corrections how we control the crew size, make sure we're getting a reasonable sized crew, whether it's 10 or 7 or 8, that's really gotta be up to staff's judgment, I think.
And I know this isn't a lot of time, because we do have a Public Safety Commission this week, so I don't know if we're gonna even be able to.
We can add it,
Can
no
we?
problem.
Okay.
Okay? So send it over to the Safety Commission, and we may see this back in November?
2 weeks.
Okay. All right, that completes the agenda. Number 9 on the agenda is open time. If there's anybody here for open time? No? Is there a motion to receive agenda materials and supplements?
So moved.
I'll second that. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, we are adjourned.